I'm glad I got here early to hear the comments of Phil and Michael and Janet. I have only one response. Hoorah! All right. Listen, I picked up a great idea on how to fund our problems on the way in here. Anybody valet park? 42 bucks? Holy Moses. So, you tell the members of Congress they all are to valet park at this hotel every day of the week that they're in town. That's only 3. And we'll get 10% of that for the rest of the year to fund at least the transit program, if not the whole bloody thing. Yikes. Well, Michael, I heard you twice this morning on WTOP. Now, for those of you who don't know that, that's the leading radio station here. Also has the leading traffic reports every morning. You didn't tell me that truck was broken down on 295. I would have been here all the time. Good message, 2 separate messages, by the way. Well done, as always. Okay, folks, don't have much time, and you're on your way to hear, we're going to hear some other speakers first, but I hope all of you know there is a T in our name, and our members design, and there's a number of you in the room, all modes of transportation, improvements, transit capital projects, and in fact, that's a major market for many, many ARPA members, and that T's been there for nearly 40 years now. We're about 113, 114 years old. That's a pretty long time. We're very pleased, and Janet made reference to this. Recently, Michael and I co-signed a letter to the Wall Street Journal, which got published, and believe me, that takes, to get that published, responding to the wannabe, presidential candidate, Carly. That was a lot of fun. And of course, we did some public opinion surveys at the end of last year together. And over the years, I think many of you know this, we've had a number of joint advertising programs together in our lobbying efforts and passed legislation. And of course, as Phil and Michael both referenced, and Janet as well, we've been partners on various coalitions for many, many years. So I feel very comfortable here, feel very much at home. I know there's still some out there that like to divide us and think we only represent the highway industry. That's a crock. We represent the transportation construction industry. Generically, our members build all the airports, they design them all the rail, all the ports, all the high speed, what little there is, and of course the highways and transit and bridges of this nation. So working together, it can't be overstated. It's been said already, but I'm going to say it again. The importance of us working together in these coming days and months. Now, you know that we have opponents. Janet made reference to this very well. And the Club for Growth, the Heritage, I call them out. I'm not afraid to mention who they are. They have informed a lot of people with bad information, and they're out there trying to divide us. They're out there putting bum information in the mainstream, in the media, to the public, and frankly, most of what they put out there is mythological. It's not fact-based, and those two groups have one thing in common, though. They're both wrong. They're both wrong. Now, zero-sum game is a metaphor we all like to use. We're not going to get trapped in that. We're here to advance the cause of transportation because, frankly, there's a chronic underinvestment in all the modes of transportation in this country. So we're not going to get trapped in a food fight. We're not going to do that for sure. That's happened a few times in the past. In fact, I remember when I joined ARPA in the last century, That's exactly the way it was, by the way. Some of you remember that. We were the highway community. APTA was the transit community. Never shall they meet. What a crock. That was sad. That was very sad. That has not been the case in recent years. So, the vast majority of Congress, you already know this, they do recognize, finally, what we're facing. The facts, not the myths, have been adequately conveyed by all of us over the years, over the months, over recent days, so none of them can say they don't know the truth. They may refer to the latest ad or radio ad that they've heard, decrying the need to invest. But folks, the facts are out there. That's one of the good news things. Now, the last 8 years of uncertainty have clearly led to some bad decisions around the country. A lot of states have held up their investments because they can't count on the federal government's partnership. We've essentially had a frozen program in recent years. In fact, we've had major cuts no one wants to talk about, but we've taken nearly a $3 billion cut in the overall highway program for sure in recent years. So I'm here not to talk about negative things, but to talk about positive things. I said the truth is out there. People know the facts. And more important than that, after this 8-year period of uncertainty, of indecision, of putting things off, I do believe, Phil made this comment in his opening remarks, I also believe that we're going to get a long-term piece of legislation this year. Now, I'm among the minority. I see Jan and others nodding their head. There are a few of us here to believe that. A lot of our colleagues don't. They don't. A lot of our members don't. A lot of our member companies do not believe we're going to get a long-term piece of legislation this year. And you know what they're doing as a result? They're laying back. Some are laying off. And that has caused serious problems in the economy and that uncertainty, and I'm not going to, I'll let Ashto give you the latest on this, but we monitor this very closely. You're well aware that some of the major states have already announced they're cutting back, and here we are, March. We got to the end of May to deal with the extension, but most importantly, we still don't know what the solution to the Highway Trust Fund problem is, besides the valet parking approach I mentioned. But look, they know what they have to do. Both sides of the aisle know what they have to do. We think that they will have the courage this time to do the right thing. We're very encouraged, particularly on some, I won't call them jailhouse conversions, they might be, but we've had some conversions of long-time resistors, long-time opponents of doing the right thing. They're now prepared to do the right thing. So we're going to roll out something here in a few days that will add to what's being discussed at the moment. Nothing incredibly novel. In some regards, simply a reiteration of past proposals, dressed up a little bit, garnished with new information, new facts, and aimed at getting this debate off of a dime, off its rear end. And you're going to be surprised at the bipartisan support you're going to run into this week. Maybe not surprised, but maybe shocked. Some of you are probably shocked. And I think it's real. I think you're going to see a very serious attempt to finally deal with this in the coming weeks. Now, we could talk about very specific things, and I'm not sure you want to do that, but a couple of things have happened recently. That's why we have this positive outlook. We're naturally optimistic. Sometimes people think we're foolish, but we're not members of the Surrender Brigade in this town. And it's a pretty big brigade, that they don't want to face the tough political opposition that's still out there. But, just last week, 285 members of the House, 285 out of 412, 415, whatever the number is, 435. That's a majority on both sides of the aisle. Signed a letter saying, hey, let's get it done. Let's resolve this problem. Let's get it done. We've also seen, right after the elections, in fact, last November, the new Senate Majority Leader on national TV said there's only two things we want to deal with right away: tax reform and taking care of the Transportation Trust Fund issue. And so don't tell me there isn't support out there. There is real-world support. It's up to us. It's up to us to close the deal. So, where are we? People love to ask that question. Where are we, Pete? Where are we? Where are we? I don't know. Where are you standing, man? You're right there. I love to say, this is one of the old Marine sayings: one hair short of ugly. You know what that means? One hair short of ugly. Well, it is ugly, and it's going to get uglier come the end of May. So the timing of your event's perfect. You couldn't have scheduled this at a better time. Your April events. We also have the Transportation Construction Coalition coming in after Easter with all of our gifts from that holiday. And we're going to be storming the Hill as well. So we're going to have a wave of industry representatives carrying the message and trying to get Congress to do the right thing. But, we could talk all day about specific solutions, but the bottom line is this. This whole issue, forget about all the way you divide the pie and all, it's a political problem. It's a political problem. How do you solve political problems? You solve them politically. They're not going to listen otherwise. We've had facts, commissions, studies, research up the yin-yang for years, decades, centuries. This is a fact-free zone. You solve this politically, and that's why you're here. It's been well said. Phil and Michael teed this up perfectly. Janet added the icing on the cake. You got to tell your story. You got to tell it in specific facts, and you got to say, folks, you don't do the right thing, there will be consequences. Political consequences. Now, a lot of people don't like to do that. We tell our members, you got to talk to them back home, you got to get in their face, you got to tell them your story. But what good is all that? Today, they know most of that, and that's very different than in the past. You now have to add that final sentence: we are keeping score. We're paying attention. We're not stupid. We're not naive. You were sent here to do a job. And guess what? It's a very tough job, with all respect. It is a very tough job that our elected representatives have. But they wanted it. They knew that ahead of time. We didn't force them to come here. I don't see these guys and gals up there in chains. They're here on purpose. And that is to solve our nation's problems, to deal with our nation's challenges in the future. That's why they're here. You remind me of that. So, how are we going to do it? Well, we got to change the debate. The debate is, as I said, there's clarity in most quarters now. But you got to remove the bubble wrap around these discussions. Nobody wants to get bruised. I might get hurt. Baloney, take it away and say, these are the hard facts. These are the hard facts, and if you ignore them, there will be consequences. We keep score. We're not up here on some fam trip, not up here to go out and get ripped off. We're here to do a job. So it's no time for subtleties. No time for subtleties. And as Janet said, if you think you're talking to Daffy Duck up there, hey, be patient. Be patient. Because remember, what is the key after these meetings? Follow up. Follow up. You got to follow up with everybody you met with, everybody you talked to, and you follow up back home. You go back and visit their local offices. I just went to D.C. I saw Senator Up. He said such and such. She said such and such. I want you to know that. And by the way, when they come back here during the recess, the next one, there's lots of them coming up, I want to see them again. I want to take them out to my job site, as Janet mentioned, et cetera, et cetera. So, also in terms of avoiding the subtleties, you're going to hear ideas that, we had this, I don't know. I was in Annapolis yesterday. We don't, and for the St. Patty's Day parade. I live in Annapolis. And the new governor was leading the parade. And I'm there with 6 of my 9 grandchildren and my wife, and of course I'm drinking lots of beer. And so the governor comes up, he's got a green thing on, and I said, Governor, you're going to build the purple line, right? He said, I'm in favor of the green line. I'm in favor of the green line. So I'm serious. We did intervene on that project, as some of you know. We don't normally do that. In fact, I just sent a nice Valentine's letter to Governor Cuomo last week about the situation in New York. Some of you, I'm sure, there got plenty of folks here from New York. We don't normally do that either. But both of those situations had national implications far beyond their respective states. Because if they don't invest here, if we don't invest in this state, it affects all the adjacent states, it affects the whole bloody country. Now I got to tell you this. My 5-year-old grandson pulls on me and says, Pop, how come he didn't give us any candy? He didn't give us any necklace. I said, Peter, no, it's Ben. They give you candy after you give them candy. You look. Okay. So, you're going to hear some what I call Jedi mind. I won't say the next word. Crap. In terms of how they're going to solve this problem. There's an elementary, basic, known way to deal with this. What's it called? Raise the bloody user fee. Raise the bloody user fee. Have the political courage to do this. It's right in front of you. It's the most proven, the most efficient way to get it done. Do it!